Hello everyone, Chaos here, and welcome to another Oldschool Runescape video. Today, my Araxxor guide. RuneScape 3 connoisseurs may recall the big boy spider, but don't be fooled. The only similarities with OSRS Araxxor is the name and the fact that it is a spider. This new encounter comes to provide some never-before-seen mechanics, cool drops, and a pretty cute pet. Boys and girls, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing with notifications on, and dropping a like for the YouTube algorithm. If you want more help for your Araxxor task or share your drops, join our Discord with a link in the description. The only real quest requirement we need for Araxxor is completion of Priest in Peril for access to Mauritania. Jagex scrapped the need for partial completion of a night at the theater, so this boss is pretty easy to access outside 92 Slayer. The rest are just suggestions to make the encounter easier, starting with a very iconic Monkey Madness 2. This quest lets us equip ballista weapons, which to my knowledge is the very first boss for which we have ever been encouraged to use this item. As most of you know, completion of the quest A Kingdom Divided will let us summon thralls, which is a great way to deal chip damage if we are not using our spellbook for anything else. These are super useful at many bosses in the game, and they make a comeback for Araxxor. Finally, I recommend completion of Ghost Ahoy, A Taste of Hope, and or Sins of the Father for convenient teleports to Araxxor. And we will look at how to get to the boss room more efficiently shortly after. Araxxor is a Slayer boss for which you need level 92 Slayer to fight under an Araxxite Slayer task. You can also do it on a Spider task assigned by Tyrael or Spria, but level 92 is still needed to engage in the fight. As for levels, at 92 Slayer you shouldn't really have anything lower than base level 85, so you will already be powerful enough to take on the newest boss. Anything above 90 will do the trick just fine, and to be able to kill the small spiders in one hit we need level 99 ranged. Finally, don't forget 80 Mage for Thralls and the Death Charge. Before we get into gear setups, we tried a bunch of different loadouts on stream, and even though ranged and magic do okay-ish with the right setup, Araxxor is a boss you 100% want to kill with melee, since even the lowest budget melee weapons are going to do better than other combat styles. Even with the bonuses from the Slayer helmet, ranged and magic are absolutely not recommended. The bare minimum gear includes a zombie axe with a Drago Defender, fighter cape, torso, obsidian legs, Barrow's gloves, dragon boots, and a berserker ring. I really don't want to sound like a jerk, but if you are level 92 Slayer and you look like this, there may be something wrong you're doing with your account. But I don't judge. Bring whatever special attack weapon you can afford to deal more damage. With a little bit more money, you can upgrade to a bludgeon with a Pandos and ferocious gloves, and if you already have them, primordial boots are of course our best in slot, but the dragon boots continue to be a pretty good cost-effective item. For more consistent damage, bring a BGS and use a special attack at the beginning of the kill, and pair that up with food and potions. The best in slot gear features a Scython Crush with an Inquisitor Stop and Bottom, an Amulet of Blood Fury, an Infernal Cape, and the almighty Altar Ring for a disgusting boost in DPS, with a Soul Reaper Axe and Inquisitor's Mace next on the list. If you noticed, all three setups feature a heavy ballista with Dragon Javelins, and this is important for one of the mechanics coming up. Don't forget an Elder Maul, Void Waker, or Dragon Claws for your special attacks, thralls, potions, and food. The best way to get there is with a new item called Spider Cave Teleport dropped by Araxxor, which sends you directly outside the cave. The second best thing to do is to buy a Hallowed Sepulchre Crystal to teleport there, bank, and use the shortcut on the eastern wall of Darkmare. Less convenient ways to get to the cave are the Durakhan's Medallion to go to Vershionasa, the Ectophile and then bank at Port Vesmatis, or even the Fairy Raincoat ALQ to then run southeast. Once inside the cave, you will find Araxxor to your left. We don't have any Araxxor specific plugins at the time of making this video, but honestly the fight it's not that complicated to need any. If you really want to, you could activate NPC indicators, but honestly I had a pretty smooth experience with my default settings. I also use a Death Charge and Thrall reminders, but you don't really need much to make the fight pretty efficient. When you start the fight, go next to Araxxor who will attack with melee. If at any point during the fight you walk away, he will throw a magic attack which is only partially blocked with protection prayers, so it is advised that you always stay nearby to avoid as much damage as possible. Every 6 basic attacks, Araxxor will be locked to a special attack throughout the whole fight depending on the color of the first spider that hatches from the eggs. Let's look at what the spiders do first, and then their associated special attack. The best one is the red Araxxite. When it hatches, it will walk towards you and explode a few tiles away, so move as fast as possible. If it explodes under Araxxor, it will deal 80 damage, exploding next to it will deal around 60, and exploding away from Araxxor will deal around 40. If this one hatches first, Araxxor will throw a Venom Blob at you, and you will leave an acid trail behind you for 6 ticks. The green Araxxite attacks with ranged, and by wearing a crush weapon or a heavy ranged weapon, you will deal your maximum hit. Do this with an Inquisitor's Mace or a God Sword for a one-hit KO, or if you have a Heavy Ballista at level 99 ranged, Divine Ranging Potion, and Rigor, you will one-shot it from a distance. When it dies, it will explode, leaving a ton of acid behind. If this one hatches first, Araxxor will throw a Venom Blob in a straight line at your direction, and being in this path will deal up to 18 Venom damage and leave an acid trail behind. The white Araxxite attacks with melee, and if you attack it with melee as well, it will reflect the damage back at you. When you damage Araxxor, it will also take damage, so you can weaken it down. You may do the same trick with a Heavy Ballista to one-shot it, but if you want to try something different, you can cast a Vengeance to hit it, and it will negate all damage dealt to you. If this one hatches first, Araxxor will throw a bunch of acid on random tiles. If all of this sounds overwhelming, something you can do, but I do not recommend under any circumstances, is to crush the eggs at the beginning of the fight, meaning no spiders will spawn. Defeating all of these will basically take almost as long as the entire KC without doing it, and you will need a stamina potion because you will be running around like a degenerate. When Araxxor falls below 25% HP, the enraged phase will start, and he will gain additional defensive stats as well as attacking every 4 ticks. Every attack after this point will leave 3 horizontal acid pools on the ground, and you will only take damage by stepping on them. The first way to go about this would be to walk back 1 tile when you see Araxxor screeching, and then waiting 1 tick to attack as it will go near you again. If you attack as soon as it leaves acid on the floor, you will walk back on them, which will naturally damage you. This is where I switched to the Inquisitor's Mace to make this phase much smoother, because the Scythe is going to make it a little awkward. The second one is to move 2 tiles away horizontally, and just circle around Araxxor whenever you see free tiles. If it's eventually surrounded by acid, you will have to start walking back, but this is completely up to you, and whenever it feels comfortable. The third and final one is that at the time of making this video, a Reddit user figured that there's a weird interaction where if you walk under Araxxor's southeast tile right before the attack, it will only lay 1 acid pool, and it will also hurt itself. This definitely feels like something that wasn't intended, so stay vigilant on the blog post in case they patch this in the future. When Araxxor dies, its corpse will be available for you to harvest or destroy. Harvesting it will give you loot normally, and destroying it will give you no loot, but double the chances at the pet. A never before seen mechanic. So, with all that being said, time to put it all together with a live KC to tell you everything I am thinking when fighting against the newest boss in Oldschool Runescape. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for Araxxor in mid to late game melee gear with the inventory and the gear setup looking like this. If you haven't already, make sure to pre-pot Divine Super Combat Potion, Ranging Potion, Extended Anti-Venom, and drop 2 pieces of food or prayer potions at the beginning of the KC so you have space for your loot at the end. So at the very beginning of the kill, I dump my specials because your special attack is going to be refreshed with Death Charge, as we are going to get the green spider popping up first. That is the absolute worst one that we will see, and as soon as it spawns, I am going to equip my Javelin, Pray Rigor, and it is going to die in just 1 hit. Whenever the green spider spawns first, I recommend standing here because you're going to be able to see when Araxxor throws the venom projectile. Otherwise, if you are either on a straight line or in a diagonal line, you are not going to notice when Araxxor moves, and that is basically not going to be great because you could potentially take up to 18 venom damage, and, well, we don't want that. Kill the Mirrorback Spider, also in 1 hit. Again, you could use Vengeance and then hit it, one-shot it with a Crush Weapon, but I'd much rather do it with a, from a distance. That is very, very nice. With mid to late game gear, the kill is going to take a little bit too long, meaning that you could potentially cast the Death Charge twice, and the lower your gear, basically you're going to have like pretty much infinite special attack, because as you can see with a Light Bearer especially, my special attack energy is already at 65%. Make sure to lure the spider under Araxxor, and as you can see, right now you can do one of 2 things. So whenever Araxxor says scree, go back 1 tile, it's not going to hit you, go back 1 tile, and then what you can do is attack it and then go back 1 tile, attack it and then go back 1 tile, or you can attack it and move move horizontally, right? So you can do one of these. If you want, you can also, if you want to avoid chip damage, if you move correctly, what's going to happen is that Araxxor is not going to damage you, meaning that as long as you pray ranged, look, you literally do not get damaged in the enraged phase. There's also something that I want to show you that I believe I'm going to be able to do now. So as long as you do this, look, Araxxor is going to damage itself, and you are going to walk under and basically do the KC, just like that. We're going to go ahead and loot it. We're doing this on stream, and we get nothing but death runes. I am going to show you one final thing before we move on to the extra tips, and it is that if you're not comfortable with the spiders at the very beginning of the kill, what you can do, that I do not recommend, is that you can kill all the eggs, basically. I am actually potted all the way up. With a crushed weapon, this is supposed to help. I mean, you're able to kill the eggs before they hatch, but honestly, this is just not worth it whatsoever. And then you can do this. I mean, you are able to kill them, but it's not recommended whatsoever. I believe there is a way to one-shot it, but if you want to kill the eggs before the entire KC, you're kind of doing this boss incorrectly, and I do not suggest you do that. So, that is pretty much it about the KC for Araxxor. Remember that the special attack of Araxxor is going to be locked in from the first spider that hatches on this corner of the screen. And yeah, just remember to move when the red spider comes, then get it just under Araxxor, and then boom, it's going to do 80 damage. Otherwise, it's going to do a little lower. So, boys and girls, that's pretty much it, and let's go to the extra tips. For extra tips, something I didn't mention during the mechanics is to summon your thrall and cast the death charge whenever possible. I think this was already a given, but never forget about those spells, since it will speed up the kills quite nicely. At the time of making this video, for some odd reason, killing Araxxor does not proc death charge. So make sure to use it when you're about to kill either the green or the white spider to avoid wasting precious cooldown time. Not that you would ever want to do this, but you can also kill the red spider with either melee or the heavy ballista trick. This would be in extreme cases if you need a death charge, because the 80 damage on Araxxor just outweighs any positives. You can combine an anti-venom plus potion with one of the newest items called an Araxxite venom sac. This will give you extended anti-venom plus potions, but by taking 2 anti-venoms you will be perfectly fine for an entire trip. When Araxxor is locked to the projectile special attack, stand anywhere except straight line so you can notice when the attack is coming, in case you are not counting basic attacks. I personally stand here to see when Araxxor is about to do it. Finally, Araxxite tasks are more commonly assigned by Duradel or Curadel with a task weight of 10, as opposed to Nefer Steve, whose task lists give him a task weight of 8. With Turiel, Aya, or Spria, it will be the same weight for spider tasks. Araxxor seems to give a loot that will just about upkeep your supplies since we are here for the uniques. Without them, the average loot seems to be between 25 and 60k, with potentially better alchables for values of up to 300k. Items include armor, seeds, runes, and some resources, but don't expect to become super rich by only getting standard loot. For uniques, we are looking at spider cave teleports and venom sacks, which are expensive right now just for being new items. 3 pieces of the Noxious Halberd, which are untradeable until you are able to make your own, and the most expensive drop, the Araxxite Fang. Combine this with an Amulet of Torture to make the newest best in slot melee amulet in the game, an Amulet of Rancor. With a new untradeable jar and the super cute pets, Araxxor definitely has many items on this drop table, which will keep collection loggers busy for a little bit. Scapers of all ages, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and for making it this far. If you did, tell me what you think of Araxxor in the comments below, or tell me what your favorite new item is. Include the term RSN in your comments, and you will be entered in our weekly bond giveaway, for which we will pick a winner on Friday's stream. I want to give a massive thank you to all the wonderful people you see on screen for supporting this project I love so much with a monetary pledge, which all goes towards feeding my family in a third world country. If you like what I do here, consider clicking the join button below and see all the cool perks and benefits you can get in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord. In the next one, we will also be talking about new content, as we will see what the future of Oldschool Runescape brings us in the first half of 2025, thanks to the Summer Summit going live on September 7th. For now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.